No problem. I like that lyric that says, "No drama, mama." That's a good one. I like that one. So this morning we're going to be talking about effort and grace. And you know, our author tells us it takes both. It takes both the stepping out there and the letting go and letting Spirit take over to get through our life experience. So we're talking today about this idea of unexpected miracles popping up and the synchronicities that we can pay attention to if we're awake, and recognize whatever's going on around us as meaningful in our life journey. Something that makes meaning for us, you see. These things that seem random or chance, we have an opportunity to say, what does that mean for my journey, if it catches our attention? I like our author's terminology. He calls these messages from the universe, or divine hints that move us along our soul's journey. So today I'm going to start by reading, actually this is the very same book that Glenda read from. It's just a very early edition and it looks different, even has a different title, but it's got the same insights. Kind of like me, actually, from when I was 21 to now, yeah? Very different. So what does it look like when we make meaning out of the incidents that get our attention in our life experience? Our author tells us synchronicity is the key to wholeness. Making meaning out of the stuff of our life experience is the key to wholeness. And I love this. It's up to us to see it and to be it. We see synchronicity when we go beyond the limits of our linear mind and our clinging personalities. You know, the head stuff. We are synchronicity when we say yes to the world as it is, say yes to the conditions of our human existence, show universal love to each other, and live in respectful harmony with nature everywhere. Synchronicity comes into play about perspective when a new world view, a new perspective is ready to take birth, when we can see that there are no problems. The problem is there are no problems. This perspective that moves us ahead. So what's the problem? Why don't we just see all of the divine hints around us, the messages from the universe? Why don't we just get it? What's the deal? Well, our author tells us that the fact of the matter is some things just escape us. We just don't see them. And the reason that we don't see them is that we are capable of seeing only what our perception and our world view allows us to see. So when I think about my own life journey, I can think of so many indications that I missed along the way, revisited and went, oh, I see how that fits. But at the moment, I didn't have the capacity to see it because my viewpoint, my perspective wasn't there, you see. So what we're capable of seeing determines the reality that we bring into the present moment. It's just that simple. And every single one of us, whether we claim to be an enlightened being or we claim that we're, just hammering it out in there, every single one of us is on a continuum from being very, very awake and aware of ourselves and everything going on around us to being completely unaware and asleep. Have you noticed? We have those moments of those aha moments where we get it. And then there are those other moments where we're pretty darn dense, where it just doesn't go in. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care how long you've been on this spiritual journey, you are part of that continuum. We're all part of that continuum. However, we do all have a set point. We have a stabilized place where we have a way of seeing the world, a world view. And that set point is the way we perceive life in general. So if we've gone on this journey and we're very practiced and we've practiced being in the now moment and we're very present with whatever is going on, most of the time, the chances are our set point is going to be relatively awake and aware, and we're going to catch the hints of the divine. We're going to catch these messages from the universe most of the time. And I think most of us are in that place in our journeys in this community where we're catching it. Because we all have a context in which everything that we perceive takes place. And the viewpoint that we bring, or the perspective that we bring, you know, that's a big perspective. The problem is there's no problem. I'm not ready for drama. That's a big perspective, because so much of our time is spent in drama, in fear, in all that's not this peaceful state of mind. We have this narrow focus. And so what does it take for us? How can we be more awake so that we don't miss the subtleties? So that we're more, you know, there's more on our radar. Our frequency is high enough that we're catching these hints, these messages from the divine on a regular basis. I was thinking about what this looks like in my life in just the less than 24 hours, actually about the last 12 hours. I got a message from someone on Facebook, not I personally, but there was a message on Facebook from someone that I know. It's actually a local minister who is now retired. And on the Facebook page, she indicated that her son had recently died. He was 44. And what she said was, I lost my son twice, once to drugs and now once to death. Now, you know, I could have just read that, but I'll tell you what, that I made meaning in my own journey out of that. I related to that. That caught my attention. And part of it is that I know so many of your stories, and I know what that looks like. Part of it is part of my own story. It got my attention. And then, you know, and I woke up thinking about it in the morning. How do I make this meaningful in my life? Of course, I'm not thinking in those terms, but it got my attention. Then, as I was doing my morning chores before coming here this morning, I had my Swiffer and I saw this thing on the floor that I thought was a leaf. And as I'm sweeping it up and getting it to the place where I could put it in a dustpan, you know, and I was not paying any attention. It's like, okay, I'll get that debris off the floor. And as I began putting it into the waste pan with a little brush, I realized that it was a dead spider. And all of a sudden, something in my mind connected the Facebook message with this dead spider that I had so casually thought was just a dried up old leaf. And here I am sweeping it into the dustpan, and I thought about it, about the preciousness of life. And you know, and I'm thinking how casual I was with sweeping that spider into that dustpan. And what I'm saying is, everything is there if we're willing to let it touch us. It's there for us. So how can we be more awake? How can we be more tapped in? Well, our author tells us that it takes effort, like Linda said, and it takes grace. It takes a combination. So effort is a choice. Effort is a choice to set the intention to be mindful, to pay attention, to be awake, to be now-centered, to be fully present, to live an examined life. Not to just go through life, you know, with blinders on and in the denseness of not paying attention. So effort, it's a choice that we make about how we live our life. To reflect, to contemplate. It's what we're working with in our Bodhisattva class right now, this idea of contemplation, where we are very present with the way things are and help ourselves make meaning out of whatever that is. And then there is grace. You see, grace is a gift of the universe, like Linda said. Grace takes over where our effort leaves off. Have you ever noticed how that works? We have a process that we do in classes sometimes, where we have a deep examination of every possible aspect of an experience or an idea. We look at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. We just turn it inside out and look at it everywhere. And then we come to the point where there's nothing to fix. Because probably if we could have fixed it, we would have already, right? So there's nothing to fix. So what we do is we simply breathe into it, bless it, and release it to grace. Release it to grace. Grace, the divine energy of the universe, will take care of it, will show us the next indicated step. This idea that yes, we take the first step, You know, in the Christian tradition, pray but move your feet. Pray but move your feet. So this grace that takes over after we're, you know, done doing our work, and we just let it go. And this, I love this statement that our author says. What we do, the steps we take, the intentions we set, the reflection, the contemplation, what we do places us in a likely position for grace to occur. It opens us up to grace, how we live our lives, so that we can see these divine hints. We take a step, this is the effort, and the shift happens within us, which is where the grace takes place, you see. And then new possibilities begin to emerge from what we missed before. We're seeing things in a new way, this new birth, this new idea. Those aha moments that we get, like with the spider, like with the Facebook, those are very ordinary circumstances, right? Doing my morning chores with the dust mop. Ordinary circumstance. For me, it was an extraordinary moment of awareness. So the aha moments come when we're ready, when we notice them. In the very simple things of life. They don't have to be the big, you know, white light experiences. Why bother? Why bother to pay attention? Why bother to connect with these divine hints? Well, what I can tell you is this. Every single human being on the planet, regardless of their language, regardless of their religion, regardless of the way they live their lives or the culture, the color of skin, whatever, every single human being has an essential longing to make meaning out of life, out of the human existence. Everybody has that same longing. This universal human question, what does it mean to be a human being? What is greater than I am? What's this all about? What happens when I die? We want to know what being a human being is all about. We want to know that. And most especially, you know what we really want to know? What does it mean to be me? What's this about? What's my life journey all about? And so this openness, this readiness, this moment of readiness to birth into a new perspective, a new way of being and seeing our walk in the world, this moment of readiness opens us up to the grace that will allow us to tap into the clues that show us our own soul's code, our particular journey, the divine hints that say, yes, this is it, this is it. The answer to the question, what does it mean to be a human me, comes when we have eyes to see and ears to hear. It comes in the moment of readiness, the aha moment. It comes with the effort, whatever that is, the presence, the contemplation, the centering in the now. It comes when we hear it, and that's the grace. When we see it and when we hear it. Because there comes a moment for all of us, and in your life experience, you will notice if you go back and look at what your 65 years or 87 years or in whatever, Hiromi, 30-something years, whatever, however many years you've been on this journey, if you go back and take a look at that, you will notice those moments when it became very clear to you that there was a greater cosmic meaning to your life than you were aware of prior to that, this moment of aha. You'll find those along the way for yourself. You could probably do a timeline. I know Stacy and Allison have been working with a timeline of looking at certain things in their life. Those moments when you get a new perspective, see? And I love this terminology. When we get that, and then we stand back, and now we're 65, right? We're 65 years old, and we're looking back at the pattern of our life experience. There's an obviousness in retrospect. Don't you love that? An obviousness in retrospect, which means that we can begin to see the pattern. We see the unfolding journey. We see how it starts to fit together. We see how our efforts of transformative work and psychological work and journaling and reading and whatever, being fully present, we see how now it's starting to line up and it's making sense to us. This obviousness in retrospect. Do you understand what I'm saying? You get it? Yeah. So that we begin to make meaning of what's been there all along. We begin to see it in a new context. The chain reactions. Ever notice how things just happen and they're all linked together and pretty soon you go, I get it. I get how all of these things, and let me tell you, sometimes it does not feel good. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's icky. Sometimes it's about death. It's about not feeling well. It's about bodies not cooperating. It's about losing jobs. It's about not having enough money in the bank. It's about relationships dissolving. But still, there is this connection that we can see, the pattern that's unfolding at the time. So here's your invitation. Notice the places and the experiences that have been part of what it has been to become you. What has been part of your becoming who you are? So look back over your life, everything that's happened. Get a piece of paper, a timeline, get your journal. Look back over your life experience and everything that's happened. What messages did you get? And what messages maybe did you miss? What messages were limiting for you? What messages expanded you and allowed you to say, oh, this is what it means to be me. This is what it means to be me in this experience. What turning points? What breakthroughs? What crises? Where did you say yes or no to your life experience? And where did that fit in? How did that work to help you become who you are today? Who are the people, the relationships, the villains? I've got some of those in my life. The villains, the heroes, I've got those too. The places, the jobs, the opportunities. What were those things that were part of the pattern, the unfolding pattern, that you can see the obviousness, you know what I mean, right? Obviousness now in retrospect. How they all work together. You know what it does? It softens, it puts sort of a softness around the harsh experiences that we've had. It softens those things. The grace, where the divine, the space for the divine, where that stepped in, the effort that you've made along the way, the gifts, the griefs, it's all there. So take a look at that. And then say to yourself, this is what it took for me to become the human that I am. This is what it took. These are all the things. These are all the pieces. This is the pattern that it took for me to be the human being that I am. And I want to stress, I'm saying human being, because what we know is that our essential beingness is that divinity. But we all get to walk in the world in our humanness. So our human being, revisit David Rico and his suggestion, it's up to us to see, and it's up to us to be this experience, to make meaning out of the circumstances. All of it, all of those, that long list that I just gave you, the people, the places, the griefs, the breakthroughs, the dramas, whatever that is. And when you can live your life with meaning, when you can actually make meaning out of all of these experiences, then you have the capacity to say yes to the moment as it is. You have the capacity to show love to everybody and everything. You have the capacity to live in harmony with the universe and not push against it. And that's what this whole journey of synchronicity is about. It's opening to the unexpected miracle in the moment, make meaning out of it, and let it move you forward with grace and with ease.